Hello there, and I welcome you to Parenting in Diaspora. Today we're going to be rounding up our discussion on cultural identity issues with this interview that I had with a gentleman who was born and raised in the United States but is of Korean parentage. So let's listen in. Okay, would you please introduce yourself to our viewers?
Sure. Hi everybody, I'm Donald Lee. I'm a resident here in the Gwinnett County, Georgia area.
So your parents are from South Korea?
Yes.
And you were born in the United States. Did you at any time have any struggles with your identity growing up?
Sure. You know, as much as anybody else, I think we can all sort of recollect on some childhood tribulations and growing up specifically, you know, in first grade, you know, being made fun of for having quote-unquote slanted eyes, those sort of things culturally being Korean. Sometimes it was funny if you bring some weird foods, quote-unquote, to lunch. Sure, you kind of got the shtick for it. But luckily, for the most part, I've had a pretty good run of it. I'm not a quote-unquote mainstream person. You think a lot of the times I'm like the third party. I'm usually the other. I'm not white, I'm not black. So you kind of have this other perspective that's a sidelines. And as a result, I really don't get a lot of negative stereotypes, right? I think they say, maybe I'm a bad driver. Or something like that, right? So those are usually the worst things. But usually they're good. Okay, they'll say, I'm good at math, or I'm really smart. Exactly. So maybe for better or for worse, a lot of those encumbrances that may be incumbent upon other ethnicities don't really fall in my lap very often. I haven't run into a lot of problems.
Okay. So you did mention part of the stereotype of being Asian is that you're good at math or whatever.
Sure.
Was there any stress growing up as to, you know, what you needed to be, who you needed to be and stuff, like career-wise and all that? Sure,
and I've learned this just luckily in working in Gwinnett County, which is, you know, very diverse. The pressures of a parent on their child and wanting the best for them is not necessarily part and parcel with just being Korean. I think we've heard about the moniker of a tiger mom.
That's right.
Right? I think that moniker is translatable to multiple cultures, as I've learned. And there were some intrinsic pressures. You know, I either had to be a doctor, or an engineer, or a rich businessman. And I ended up getting into the public sector as an attorney, obviously representing foster care children primarily. So I didn't really live up to that initial expectation for what my parents wanted for me.
Did that cause any problems?
It did. You know, I can recall a time when my mom and dad met with my high school guidance counselor, and they realized that I didn't have the marks to get into Harvard, and they grounded me.
Wow.
They didn't want to go to family functions. They felt like they couldn't save face because I wasn't going. They were like, why did we immigrate to the United States?
Wow.
So there was that pressure. Luckily, I ended up going to a lower tier Ivy League school, but I was there, and over time, you know, feelings were assuaged, accomplishments. You know, they have 3 grandchildren now, so I'm an only child. So a lot of those things have sort of fallen, sort of water under the bridge now.
Sure. But while that was happening, what was going through your mind? What were the concerns you had? What were the problems you had, the challenges? Because this was happening.
Yeah. So we all have one shake at it, right? This is the first time that I was ever 16 or something, right? And so that was my reality. And as a result, it was tough. And I think maybe just by accident, unintentionally, it created pressure and really sort of created a situation where I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do, just like any 20-year-old, particularly 20-year-old boy or young man. Like, how many of us really know what we want to do at that age? So I was kind of just trying to grasping at straws, doing a couple different majors and just trying to figure things out. And, you know, as they say, I guess the career picked me, actually, luckily enough. So I was going to go to medical school. I was a bio major. And then essentially what ended up happening was my dad said, well, if you're not going to medical school, you're going to law school.
Wow.
And I said, well, I guess I'll pick the easiest one to get into that pays me to go there. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So you basically grew up as an American.
Yeah. Yes.
But was there a time when it hit you, you know, that you are Korean or that you embraced it, or, you know, could you think of something that happened or sometime?
I just remember maybe more of an acute incident when I was 16. I had gone to a pre-college enrichment program at UCLA this summer for 6 weeks, and half of the students, were international, from all over the world. Asia, Africa, the Middle East, Europe, and everybody else was American mainland kids, mostly East Coast kids. And it was a 6-week program. And I remember where I grew up in Maryland, I didn't have a lot of Korean friends, frankly speaking. So I was sort of in an environment where all of a sudden there were a preponderance, a lot of international students, and it felt like home. That was sort of the best feeling I had, is kind of, just having that mutual cultural identity, even though they were from the other half of the world. But when you look at somebody, it just feels right. Not that everything feels wrong,
of course,
but it just felt more right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sense of belonging that
Yeah.
was kind of new to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what would you say that you think your parents did very well? Raising
Well, I mean, obviously the roadmap, right? Strict rules, discipline, supporting me financially, emotionally. I think they always wanted the best for me. They've obviously put in the steps to allow that to happen, and I've been a grateful recipient of it, as much as my 39 years have allowed me to. So they did a great job of putting in some good cultural norms as well. They did allow me to do all the American things as well. I think your next question probably will be, what are some of the things that I do differently now that I'm a parent?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, they may see this, and I love them to death, Hera and Tejo.
It's okay,
yeah.
okay. You'll understand.
I think some of the things I do differently is to just let the children be themselves, to not try to indoctrinate a lot of my personal beliefs on them, allow them to be a free spirit, sort of, the Western culture, kind of keeping in tune with that, maybe even. So I'm not necessarily hoping that they become a lawyer. I hope they become something happy, and I have 3 boys. I hope they become good men, ultimately, and good fathers. Or not, if they don't want to have kids, that's okay too. So some of the other things that I think is important to take note of is my parents had this desire for me they kind of half did it. So while I'm indoctrinated with some of the Korean cultures, they didn't teach me Korean.
Wow.
So that's obviously something that and I've watched her other videos, so I know how systemic and important that is.
So you wish you could speak Korean.
Oh, certainly that. But at some point, the onus is on me as an adult to take over. I don't have a say in what I'm learning when I'm 3, when I'm 6, when I'm 12, when I'm 16. Or even kind of when I'm even in college. There's prerequisites, there's things you have to do to matriculate through school and graduate school.
Yeah.
But I'm a grown man. I'm not going to say I have a lot of free time, because frankly I don't.
Exactly.
But the onus is on me.
At this point,
At this point, I have to do it myself.
Yeah.
So.
It just would have been easier if you had been.
Well, sure.
We didn't know.
I think all of your listeners and we all know that those sort of things were picked up much easier at a younger age.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you so much, Donald.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure.
You've been great. Thank you
Thanks.
so much. So I hope we all learned something from Donald. Thanks for watching, and remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a thing. And if you'd like to email me, you can reach me at parentingindiaspora@gmail.com. Thanks for watching. Until next time, God bless.